Hiring Bill O'Brien as the new head coach of Boston College was a big deal. But these two other hires Boston College made are almost as big.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everyone. This is Locked On Boston College, your only daily Boston College podcast. I am your host, AJ Black. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Bill O'Brien has now been announced as the head coach for over a week here at Boston College, and his staff is coming together nicely. We know most of his offensive staff are guys that have stayed aboard. He does have a new offensive coordinator in Will Lawing. Defensively, lots of new names. But today, we're going to talk about two hires that are not on the field coaches, in a sense, that I feel are as big for Bill O'Brien than anyone that he hired to be on his staff. So let's kick this off. Boston College. If you look at the last couple of years under Jeff Hafley, there's been a disturbing trend. And that has been the team stays healthy for a while. You don't get any big injuries. You get closer to November, and then what happens? It's like MASH on the Boston College sidelines. You have different positional groups that are decimated by injuries. You look at the secondary this year. You had Max Tucker, a true freshman, thrown out there. No disrespect to him. Or KP Price, another true freshman, thrown out there. That's not what they want to be doing. But because of injuries, you had Jalen Cheek missing time. You had Elijah Jones off. You had other guys that are missing time because of injuries. Cole Batson, safety. You had all these positional players that go down, and Boston College is forced to go deeper into their developmental roots to get guys to fill in that. And then all of a sudden, this Boston College team that's been playing tough against some of these other programs, like Florida State, they look completely overmatched against a Virginia Tech team that was okay, not Florida State. Miami made them look like they belonged in JV. And then you lose to Pitt. This happens every year with BC. So what does Bill O'Brien do? He goes out and makes an immediate splash move, one that goes under the radar, but I think this move is going to be a huge boost to the future of Boston College football. And that was the hiring of Casey Fitzgerald. Casey Fitzgerald not only was coaching the Florida Gators, and Bill O'Brien was able to poach him from the Florida Gators. He was just hired just a month ago, but he was able to bring him to Boston College. This is a huge deal. As if you've not been paying attention on social media, Fitzgerald is already working. He's already working these guys. And I'm not a guy that's going to tell you, oh, that workout is definitely different than Phil Matuse's workout and whatever case that may be. But I do know that Bill O'Brien trusts Casey Fitzgerald, and he pointed him out as part of the reason he had success with the Houston Texans and the Penn State Nittany Lions. Having guys stay healthy, having guys get stronger and faster is a huge boost. When you have your main guys, you have guys like Thomas Castellanos or Donovan Azaraku or Neto Ekpala or any of your offensive linemen getting stronger, but not at the detriment of other skill pieces that they need to have, like speed or agility, that's going to be crucial. And to keep them healthy later in the year is something all Boston College people have been dying to get. I mean, look at Castellanos for example. His year was defined by that UConn game where clearly Jeff Hafley would never say it. Something happened to him. Some sort of injury banged him up. And all of a sudden, the passing attack that we saw out of Castellanos fell off a cliff. And all of a sudden, he became a one-dimensional player just because of that injury. It changed the whole outlook of the rest of the season. Now you have a strength and conditioning coach that has a huge pedigree, a guy that has done this at a top-notch level. The fact that the Gators, a SEC program, wanted this guy, and trusted him in a big year with Billy Napier on the hot seat is a big deal. And that BC, yeah, I know strength and conditioning coaches go with their guys that they trust. You know, Fitzgerald trusts O'Brien. But the fact that they got him and he's already on campus and he's already working with the team, this is a big deal. Boston College has, I think, going into next year, on paper, like that top level, a lot of good talent, especially on that offensive side of the ball. Your offensive line needs to stay healthy. If they start losing guys there, it's a worry. And luckily for 2023, they didn't. But a good strength and conditioning program could prevent a lot of these injuries. Keep your starters out there. Keep your stars out on the field and having them maximize the way that their body works. Like, you want to have your stars out there playing at the potential that they can. And I think that is why Casey Fitzgerald is an absolute score. And honestly, a bigger deal than having a Tim Lewis as a defensive coordinator or Will Long as your offensive coordinator. This hire could make bigger inroads for BC into a winning season than any of these other coaches that they hired. I love this hire. I think this, just being able to get him in here was a big deal. Now, Phil Matus is gone. This is the strength and conditioning coach that came with Jeff Hafley. He's off to the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he's their head strength and conditioning coach. Which, if you hear that gulping sound, that's Mitchell Wolf of Eagle Insider, who's a guest on our show a lot, saying his prayers, because I know he wasn't the biggest fan of how things were run here in terms of strength and conditioning. But again, this is not a win the press conference hire here. This is a hire, though, that if you dig deeper into what it means for Boston College, it's a bigger deal than a lot of folks even understand. Now, in a moment, BC on Thursday made another hire that I wouldn't consider a splash hire, but is massive in terms of how Boston College is going to be perceived, and shows what this administration is doing in terms of supporting Boston College football. We'll get into all of that in just a moment. Football is over, but FanDuel is ready with basketball. You can get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and so much more. You're watching a Celtics game or a Lakers game, and you're thinking, this is going to be the night that Jason Tatum goes off. You find his point total, do the over-under, thinking that they're going to win by the spread. You hit that. Maybe you find a Lakers player too as well that's going to go over. You hit all three of those, you get your same game parlay. Boom, easy win. You get your money right away. I love that about FanDuel. It's so easy. Even if you've never done it before, you can click right in and get started right away. So just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. This is Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black, editor and publisher of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Network. I am the Eagle Insider. I hope you guys enjoy everything that I do, including my writing on Eagle Insider and this podcast, the only Boston College podcast that does this 5 days a week. And you guys know I don't hold back on what I think. What I want to talk about now is another hire that Boston College made on Thursday that surprised me. Now, if you were listening to the Pete Thamel podcast with Bill O'Brien, and if you have not checked it out, it's on the College Game Day podcast channel, I think, if you look on any game day, if you look on any app. Thamel talked to O'Brien the day of his hire. And O'Brien got into what his vision is and the structure that he wants with the team. And the first thing he talked about was he wants someone to kind of oversee everything. And then he wanted someone that was kind of in charge of recruiting, some that are in charge of roster management, transfer portal. But in order to do that, you have to have an administration at Boston College, in terms of like Father Leahy, the board of trustees, athletics, that's willing to support that kind of financial commitment, because you can't just hire anyone and expect them to do this. Well, on Thursday, Bill O'Brien made his first hire for the structure and showcase that BC isn't joking around here, that they're going to bring in a guy that has massive experience in this department and has done it at an elite level for over 25 years. And that is Berj Najarian, who was a longtime Patriot staffer. Now, Berj worked with Bill Belichick forever. He worked with Bill O'Brien a couple years. And what he does, he's not going to be a guy that does NIL. He's not a guy that does recruiting. But he's going to have what I envision is going to be a staff underneath him. And he is an organizer. He's a guy that sees the big picture of this program and helps delineate responsibilities and do things so that Bill O'Brien doesn't have to do that. And that is a huge deal. And the fact that you got one of the elite guys to do this is important. Now, his role is going to be called the chief of staff. He's going to be in charge of all the recruiting people and everyone above him. Now, obviously, Bill O'Brien is the top guy at the top of this organizational structure, but Berj Najarian is going to be a very, very important piece. And the fact that BC, you could have gone out there and spent, whatever to get a guy that maybe, he worked at Merrimack College and did this, for whatever. They went and got the guy that was the right-hand man of Bill Belichick. He won 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots. He was considered Belichick's consigliere. Now, if you've watched The Godfather or you watch The Sopranos, you know what that means. The consigliere is the guy next to The Godfather or Tony Soprano. It's Silvio Dante or, totally blanking on his name, from The Godfather, that gave the leader the advice on what to do. He's going to be the guy that does all the little things behind the scenes that takes it off of O'Brien's plate. He's going to be the guy that makes decisions. Like I saw, what was it, Mitch? I think Mitch Wolf put it up of Eagle Insider that, like, if they need to get planes out for a recruiting trip, he's going to be the guy that helps us coordinate that. He's going to be the guy that helps coordinate if they want an ice cream truck after practice. If they have a big practice and they want that to happen, he will be the dude that does it. So it's a lot of organizational pieces here that's going to put Boston College in a much more structured piece. It's almost like a general manager. And the fact that Boston College hasn't had that, when you look around and you see Kenyatta Watson, a former BC player who's now basically the general manager of Auburn, you see all these bigger programs doing this. And now that Boston College does it, it's a big deal. I think what this does, again, it goes back to that FanDuel interview. It highlights what Bill O'Brien said about putting Boston College in the top half of how much they're spending on their program. This, I can't even explain how big of a deal this is. For the time that I've covered BC, back to my times, with Fan Nation or BC Interruption, BC has been the joke of salary pools, how much they spend on the program. You've all heard the jokes, like BC is always the floor of the ACC. They never want to spend. And finally, it seems like the stars are aligning in Chestnut Hill. You finally have the administration going, okay, we need to spend this money. We need to be able to spend, X amount of money to be competitive, because with the way conference realignment's going, we don't want to be on the outside looking in. We need to show the rest of the country we're serious about this program. We're going to make ourselves competitive. And I look at schools like, I think BC's looking at schools like Wake Forest and Syracuse going, I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be like Duke football. We want to be like NC State or UNC or some of those upper tier programs and get ourselves competitive again. And for Boston College fans, the hire of Berj Najarian is the first sign that BC is actually following through. And this is such a big deal for the future of this program. This is the first step, because we're going to see, he mentioned Spencer Dickhouse staying on his recruiting. I don't know what his role will be. That's the guy. He's my main contact right now for Eagle Insider, but there may be a guy above him. There may be a guy that's going to be in charge of NIL. They're adding in those supports because college football is changing. The role of the football head coach, if you don't have those supports, is overwhelming. And BC wants to make sure that Bill O'Brien is out there focusing on football, focusing on all, some of the other things, but having the support to do all the little things to make this program succeed. And I think Berj Najarian was a slam dunk hire. And yeah, no, he isn't a splash. It's not going to get you more recruits just from him being there. He will, though, take this program and help them get to that next level. And Bill O'Brien, I'm sure he's not done yet. So keep your eyes open, because those behind the scene coaches are really what's going to make this program take that next jump. Now, in our final segment, I'm going to take a step back, because there was a press conference on Thursday I have to address. Jeff Hafley has his first comments as head coach of the Green Bay Packers, and I want to tell you why I think what he said doesn't really matter. Now, Ibotta is what you need to get into right now. With grocery bills so expensive these days, but now they don't have to be. Start getting cash back on your grocery shopping with the free Ibotta app and get cash back every time you shop. Ibotta is a free app that gives you the most cash at every time you shop on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies to toys. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip. So you can buy that flight you've been eyeing, that game you're dying to go to, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you the points that don't amount to much, but with Ibotta, you add your offers in the app, upload your receipt, and you get real cash that you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Join the over 50 million users and earn cash back every time you shop from over 2,700 brands and retailers, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora's, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 for just trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to earn cash back and use promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. That's Ibotta in the Google Play or App Store. Use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. This is Locked On Boston College, AJ Black, and we're wrapping things up by talking about BC's ex-head coach, Jeff Hafley. Now, if you're like me, I don't even care that he's gone. Now, he's off to the NFL. And Hafley had his first press conference on Thursday, and as the Green Bay head coach, and he talked about how happy it was that he's at the mecca of football, and he's watched more film than he's ever watched in the last few years, which made a lot of BC fans retch. But at the end of the day, he talked about all the issues that are going on with college football, with recruiting and retaining your roster, and the NIL and transfers and all those things that don't allow you to watch the film. I saw a lot of fans getting upset about him. I saw lots of comments about him. I saw a lot of fans wrecking him. And believe me, you have every right to. Here's my thought. Here's what I think about Jeff Hafley. Thank you for leaving. Thank you. Boston College, he got to a bunch of bowl games. Fine. Did he take the program any further? No. Did he get us through a few tough periods? Sure. Was he fun to cover? Yeah, he had his moments. But I can't leave thinking that right now, BC football is in better space after he left, just 2 weeks after he left, than it was 2 weeks ago. And I want to thank him for that, because BC football now has a chance to get to that next level. he clearly wasn't the answer. His comments made it clear, very clear, that he wasn't up for this job. You know, it was a lot of work. He's got a young family, and I get that. But now he's gone. BC has now said, hey, we're going to spend more and get a coach that is much better fit than Jeff Hafley is, that has got BC in a much better position. And hey, we're going to actually support him. Just imagine if Jeff Hafley didn't quit on this team, where this program would be right now. Go back 2 weeks ago to the episode I recruited, 3 weeks ago that I recorded with Mitch. Mitch had them at 5-7. I had them at 6-6. And that was being generous. That is us wearing our maroon and gold glasses. We are not usually that optimistic. Now that he's gone, what's the feeling around the program now with Bill O'Brien and his staff and the fact that BC's spending? It's a lot better. And that wouldn't have happened if Jeff Hafley didn't quit. So you can rip him all you want. I don't care. But his inability to do this job, or his just being burnt out, or whatever the heck he was feeling, it helped this program out. He did us a favor of wasting another year of watching this team not do what they're capable of doing by going to the Green Bay Packers. And maybe this makes him happy. Good for him. But for Boston College Nation, the fact that he's gone is a good thing. And he can say whatever he wants, but we all know he can say that it was because of NIL, the transfer portal, the demands, and I'm sure he has a point. But as Dillingham of Arizona State said, there's plenty of coaches that want in. Bill O'Brien, we came from the NFL back to college because he wanted back into this. There's plenty of other coaches that wanted to go from the NFL to college because they wanted to hit these demands. Hafley clearly didn't. You also have the fact that he was, let's be real here. If he stayed on this year, what are the odds he was the head coach in 2025? I would say pretty slim, because I'm going to guarantee, I would say my 6-6 was being very optimistic. There's a good chance this team would not have been bowl eligible in 2024, would have been just another wasted Boston College football season. So again, thank you, Jeff Hafley. Thank you for quitting. Thank you for going away. And I wish you the best. I hope you're able to figure out everything that you wanted in football, and that you get to watch all the film that you desire with the Green Bay Packers, because your decision helped Boston College. And this 2024 season has a different feel because you're not here. This is AJ Black. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back again on Monday. I said on Twitter that I was going to do an episode on Saturday. I can't, though, because our system is going to be changed over and I'm locked out until Monday. So we're going to have just our 4 episodes. I've been away all week, and I apologize. We'll be on a much more regular schedule come Monday. So make sure you check that out. We'll be talking about the NC State game. We'll talk about hockey from the weekend and everything football related. I'm sure there's going to be more news. Check us out there. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247 and over at Eagle Insider. And before you head out, hit the like button on this podcast and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We do appreciate you, and thank you all who have shared this to your friends and family that love Boston College. This is AJ Black. Thank you so much for listening to Locked On Boston College, your team every day.